In this video, I'm going to be talking about decimals. So the first thing we're going to do, let me get rid of that, is we're going to practice writing decimals in words. So this decimal here, 25.3, you'll notice I put it in a chart here that shows the place value names. So we have the number 25.3 becomes 25. We can just write 25. Whoops, I need to get, alright, here we go. 25. So anything to the left of the decimal, you can just write as a regular number. When you get to the decimal, you write the word and, or you say the word and. 25 and then everything after the decimal you say as a number. So the number 3. So 25 and 3, and then you look at the place value, tenths. 25 and 3 tenths. So before I do the next one, why don't you pause and see if you can write it on your own, and then unpause and see if you get it right. Alright, so on this one we have the number 4 out in front of the decimal. So I'm just going to write, stop. I'm going to write the number, okay, now I will write the number 4. The decimal again, you write the word and then the number after the decimal here is 21. 4 and 21. Well, now this number covers two places here. So do you say 21 tenths or 21 hundredths? The answer is you always say the last place value. So 21 hundredths. Okay. Moving on. So now on this number, to the left of the decimal, we have the number 3. The decimal, again, is and then this number says 037. Well, if you have a number with 0 in the front, you don't say the 0, so we would call this 37. So 3 and 37. Again, just like the last one, wherever the last digit is, that is what you call it. So 37 thousandths. Now, standard form and expanded form. These are all written right now in standard form. And you've probably written regular whole numbers in expanded form before. This 426 is made up of, let's use green here, is made up of the number 400 plus the number 20 plus the number 6. Decimals can be also written, or can also be written in standard, decimals can also be written in expanded form. So this 0.38 or 38 hundredths is made up of 3 tenths or 0.3 plus 8 hundredths or 0.08. 3 tenths plus 8 hundredths. And pause this and give it a shot before I write it down. 9.82 is made up of 9 and made up of 0.8 or 8 tenths. It's also made up of 0.02 or 2 hundredths. So that's how you do expanded form or write decimals in expanded form. Now we're going to talk about rounding. What I've done here is I've written a number line, but on this number line I've only shown numbers in between 1 and 2, including 1 and 2. So we have 1, 1.1, 1.2, and so on, all the way to 2. And rounding is basically a way of saying, well, is it closer to this or is it closer to that? So if we want to round these numbers to the nearest whole number, I say, well, what is 1.4 closest to? Is it closest to 1 or is it closest to 2? And I put a little blue dot at the halfway point, so we know that 1.4 is less than halfway, so it must be closer to 1. So if we were to round 1.4 to the nearest whole number, we would say that it is approximately 1. And if we were to round 1.7 to the nearest whole number, well, it's clearly closer to 2 than it is to 1. So we would say that's approximately, that's what that little squiggly sign means, approximately 2. So how do we decide if it's right in the middle? Well, mathematicians decided that if it's directly in the middle, like 1.5, then you round to the next thing. So we would say that is approximately 2. Now, rounding works for very small numbers. So if I were to magnify the distance between 1.2 and 1.3 and make another number line, so here's this other number line, and we have 1.2, and here's 1.3, and here's everything in between. We have 1.20, that's 1.2. We have 1.21. I didn't put a number there because they'd get too scrunched up, so I kind of skipped one, but it's still there. You can see with this hash mark. 1.22, 1.23, 1.24, 1.25. Again, I put that in blue. That's the midway point. 1.26, 1.27, and so on all the way to 1.3. So you can see if we were going to, oops, round 1.23 to the nearest tenth, we want to see what's the nearest tenth. Well, here's 1.2, or 1 and 2 tenths, and here's 1 and 3 tenths. So 1.23, which would be about right here, is that closer to 1.2 or 1.3? And since this is halfway, we could say this is approximately 1.2 if we were rounding it. If we look at 1.29, that's here, and it's clearly closer to 1 and 3 tenths. So if we were to round that to the nearest tenth, we would say it's 1.3. So the rule for rounding is we look at the next digit, and if it's 5 or above, we round up. Oops, I almost wrote down, getting ahead of myself. We round up, and if it's 4 or below, we round down. Now saying round down is kind of tricky because it actually means you don't change the digit at all, whereas when you round up, you move it up to the next digit, which I'll show you on this next page here. Alright, let's do it like this. So, if we wanted to round 0.539 to the nearest tenth, that means we are going to round it to this spot, the nearest tenth. In order to decide if we round up or round down, we need to look at this number. So, using these rules here, the 3 is 4 or below, so we round down. So we would say this is approximately 0.5. Okay, now on this next one, we're rounding to the nearest hundredth. And the hundredth spot is right here, the 2. And so we need to check the next digit, which is a 6. And using that rule, 6 is 5 or above, so we round up. So that looks like approximately 0.43. So when the next digit is 4 or below, like this number stays the same. When the next number is 5 or above, like this number increases to the next level, or the next number, 0.43. And that's it for the video.